From Porsche perfection to the supercars of the Kerrick Sports Sedan National Series, another title will be decided today. And it's between Darren Hossack in the Auto Union Audi A4 and James Serra, the Swedish Prestige Saab Aero. It's the unlikely hero versus the experienced former champion. And we sent Sean Henshaward down to catch up with the pair of them.
Darren Hossack, what do you got to do this weekend to come out Australian champion?
Well, really, I mean, mathematically we're a chance, but it's going to take, James to have a bad race, and that's not what I want. I'm not saying I'm going to shed a tear if he's on the side of the track, but, we can only come here and do the best job we can, and, James and his team will do the best job they can, and they know what they've got to do, and it'll go from there. But, really, it's an outside chance. As long as they finish all three races, James got it in the bag, but I'm going to make it as hard as I can for him.
Now, this bloke's been a mate of yours for a long time. Does that change this weekend?
Oh, no, it doesn't change at all. Off the track, obviously. Off track, we're still going to be mates, but on track, you still want to... we're still pretty fierce, and, yeah, we'll go at it.
Now, if he's looking for that run into the first turn and there's a little bit of a gap there, are you going to close it?
I'll try. I'll try, but I mean, if he's in there, I won't. I'm still a little bit soft. I'm not quite as tough as Darren, but yeah.
I'll tell you the difference here. Our car, a lot of the bodywork's fiberglass, cheap to replace. James's car, carbon, very expensive. Let's see who's going to back out of that.
There's the results. Des Wall came through the field to finish third. Bruce Banks, we saw him in the RX-7, was eighth. Race 1 highlights, looking back earlier on in the day, in the morning here at Sandown. Crisp morning, which means a lot of horsepower from the fastest tin tops in the country. In Dykes with me, and it was a drag race down to turn 1. James Serra and Darren Hossack going at it upwards of 250 k's an hour.
A rolling star's a very, very different dynamic, a different approach for the driver, and as we saw, all cars made it through turn 1 cleanly.
Now, former champion, Des Wall, he's got number 1 on the door for a reason. He won the title last year, started working his way through the field. He got past Scotty Butler over the back of the racetrack, and then the man who calls a lot of the shots in sports sedans, category manager and racer Phil Crompton in the Mustang, was wrapped up down at turn number 1. Leaders had to work their way through a lot of lap traffic. The 48 car was involved in the thick of it there. Luke Chambers in the Mazda RX-7. As Darren Hossack powered away, holding a couple of seconds buffer over James Serra, but that would work perfectly for Serra's championship. And Dramas Robinson, he parked the Monaro in pit lane, out of sight, and this is something a little bit different. Ian, bonnet coming loose on the 12 car.
Yeah, Chaz Talbot in that car, no doubt an uncomfortable sensation to be sitting in the driver's seat at over 250 kilometres an hour with a bonnet working its way loose, but as you can see, gets the mechanical black flag there, instructing him to come into the pit lane and address that situation. And Serra had a spin, manages to correct himself there with a bit of a flick turn, and off he goes down at Dandenong Road.
Yeah, and that was on the final lap too, but such was the margin he and Darren Hossack had over the rest of the pack. He did not lose a position, nor did Darren Hossack. Streeted the field, another race victory, and whilst the championship hopes were slim, he was going to end his year on a bang. There's the results. Des Wall came through the field to finish third. Bruce Banks, we saw him in the RX-7, was eighth.
Darren Hossack, that's started the championship battle off nicely with a big win, but you're saying that you got to keep him close just in case things might happen, and it appears things did happen.
Yeah, apparently James had a spin. Look, all we can do is qualify pole, which we did, and win some races. James will look after his own affair, but my theory is if I keep him close enough, and I know James is a racer, if he thinks he's got a chance of winning the race, he'll keep pushing. So it allows us to back off and look after the car and the tyres a little bit. Keeps him trying to win the race, and that really, him making a mistake is probably the only way we're going to win the championship. It's a thin straw to grasp at, but it's all we've got, really.
You're going for the championship. You're saying that this might be your last race this year, possibly the last race you have in this car. There's a lap record you got awful close to, so you've got to battle both those things. Do you go for the race win and try and pull him in, or do you go after that lap record?
Oh, look, if we were going to get the outright lap record, it would have been in that race, and unfortunately the tyre pressures that you've got to run in order to get to the end of a 10-lap race with any sort of speed are really just too low to do an outright lap record when the tyres are at their best at the start of the race. So you know, the conditions were there, and you know, I felt I did a good enough lap. I think we did an 8.7, which was about 4/10 from where we needed to be and from where we were yesterday. But you know, it's one thing doing a fast lap in qualifying when you don't have the pressure of falling off the track. When you're in the race, you've got to make sure you stay on the black stuff. You can't lose sight of what you're there to do. And it would have been nice, but anyway, still the fastest tin top around here.
Nice thing to take away, but tyre management is a big thing with this class, with the bulk horsepower, weight, all that sort of thing, the temperature of the day. How do you manage what you're going through and what you need to prepare for the following races?
Just by taking tyre temperatures, reading the pressures across the face, the depth of the tyre, what the wear is, also side-to-siding the tyres on the car. This track only has 2 right-hand corners, so effectively you can sort of set the car up just for left-hand corners, and the tyres on the inside don't do much more than keep the car off the ground. So if you're a little bit smart with your tyre management, you can actually bring a bit of life back into the car in some of the other races by swapping the tyres from side to side. Nothing's ever as good as a new tyre though.
James, Sarah, title on the line this weekend here at Sandown. There's been some crazy stuff go on, but we've seen you come off the track during that race.
Yeah, look, possibly a little bit overexcited at the end of the race there. Darren slowed down a little bit and my car was getting better and better, and I thought, I was getting closer and closer, but yeah, a little bit of a mishap. Pretty silly thing to do it on lap 10 of the first race. But yeah, that won't happen again, I hope.
Championship playing on your mind much? You've been in this position before for a lot of times in go-karts.
Yeah, it has happened to me a fair few times in go-karts, and I've lost them all, but well, nearly all. But yeah, no, I'm trying not to think about that today. I'll just get some good solid finishes. Obviously, I still want to. We're a bit further behind Darren than we normally are, and than what I would like. And we're still working on the car to try and make it a little bit better and a little bit nicer to drive. But yeah, we'll just keep getting those solid finishes, and yeah.
You found that braking marker across the top?
Yeah, I think I did. I think Darren helped me out a little bit there actually in the first race. So yeah, I think I'm okay. Although it's a pretty hairy corner up the back there, especially in the sports sedan. So yeah.
What do you think of the Sandown track overall?
It's a brilliant track. The walls are fairly close, but you try not to look at them while you're going around. It's a great track.
Scott Butler, the Kerrick Sports Sedan's first time here at Sandown, qualified 9th, but race 1, good result, 4th.
Yeah, thank you. We haven't had a lot of practice here, my first time here, as you said. We broke an axle in practice and had some fuel pressure problems. We had a bit of luck our way on turn 1, so we gained a few spots on the first corner. Steve's been doing a lot of work on the motor and the whole car really, so we got it going pretty good in the race. Yeah, we knocked about 3 seconds off our qualifying time in that race. Some new tyres helped as well. We kept our good rubber for when it mattered. Yes, it's going pretty well so far.
Fair void to the guys at the front of the field, especially in a place like this with Darren Hossack, where he's right on outright lap record pace. How do you find that copes? Is that the benchmark, or is it the guys that you're usually running with that you use as the benchmark to race with?
Yeah, for what we spend, I think we go pretty well. We do it on a pretty limited budget, but there's always more things you can buy to go quicker, so we're getting there though, slowly.
It's great to see the Camaro up towards the front of the field, and Scott Butler's done a good job this year. Highlights from race 2 now, and more of the same, Ian Dyke, as Hossack and Sarah went side by side, toe to toe, down towards 1.
Sarah's going to have the long way around from the outside and concedes the position to Hossack. Another clean run, another rolling start.
Looking further back, a couple of cars working their way through. Dean Cam in the blue, white and black Corvette was a mover and shaker. And Talbot in the Commodore, the VP, having its bonnet fixed after dramas in race 1.
Run up the back straight, and Hossack leads them to the top of the hill. As we mentioned in our intro, mega speeds, 280 kilometres an hour roughly for Hossack at the top of that hill.
Butler, meanwhile, was holding off a big battle, which included Phil Crompton and Dean Cam. Little Mazda RX-7 was on the charge as well. Car number 9 flying its way through. Chris Muscat, young Victorian.
And here's the part of the circuit that involves the mega speed as they come across the top of that crest, down into a sweeping left-hander. Important to get the car settled nice and early, and making the most of all of the road available left and right down towards the Dandenong Road left-hander.
Michael Robinson, the Bell Real Estate, Holden Monaro was another carving his way through the field after fuel pressure problems in race 1. As Damien Johnson in the Tirana, the class winner this year, was wrapped up by Darren Hossack in the mighty Audi Unstoppable as it carved its way through the field. Hairy moment there for the race leader.
Not an easy thing to deal with. Lap traffic can be sometimes unpredictable, and Hossack's managed to get through there cleanly. And now Sarah, as we see in the background, having to do the same job round the outside through this kink onto the back straight.
That's that same old story. You've got to fight guys having their own race within a race. Clive Ablett, no relation to Gary, rolled through pit lane with some pretty serious front end damage to his little Datsun 1200. Rapid little race car. In the end, for the second time this weekend, though, it was Darren Hossack who got the flag first. This time, though, James Sarah was within sight of the Audi, and things just shaping up for a big showdown as they went into race 3. So Hossack, 2 from 2, perfect score so far. A great drive from Muscat to come through to 3rd place, with Butler 4th, Wall back to 5th, Crompton, Banks and Robinson in the top 8. The rolling thunder of Australia's most accelerative racing cars. That's a fact as well. 800 horsepower, big tyres, lots of aero. This is the Kerrick Sports Sedan National Series. And this is the starting grid for race 3. Darren Hossack and James Sarah, as it has been all season long, fill out the front row of the grid. Great drive from Chris Muscat in the RX-7 to go from P3 as we go over the page. Some fast cars. Dean Camp, Luke Chambers, Colin Smith and Gilliland all looking to come through. Rolling start, final race of the year, and it's been a good one for Sports Sedans. Numbers are up, the racing's been close, and we're not too far away from crowning a new champion. We're underway at Sandown.
Sarah gets the run outside of Hossack and manages to get his nose in front. This will be interesting down into the first corner.
The grandstand shakes as these cars come past, and it's a pretty permanent structure too, so it takes a lot to do it. Sarah squeezes Hossack wide. Oh, and dramas, Crompton's gone off, and Johnson around as well.
That track position for Sarah is going to be crucial. He managed to keep Hossack within sight in that last race. To now have that track position and be in front of him, he's in a position to really attack now.
So Butler up to 3rd place, Robertson to 4th in the Monaro, which they've been continually developing all season long, gets better and better with every round. And already Hossack just shadowing his rival, who doesn't need to win this race. He can afford to finish, well, not even on the podium to wrap up the championship, but wouldn't James Sarah like to wrap up this season with a victory?
Hossack very close under brakes there. We almost expected a move, but held behind for the moment, hopefully lining him up for a lap to come.
So contact there, that was Muscat, who we were talking up before in race 2, just with a bit of contact there with Phil Crompton, category manager of the Kerrick Sports Sedan, so might be an increased entry fee for the next round for Muscat perhaps. Don't turn me around at turn 1, and Johnson just going around in sympathy behind there as well.
Yeah, those two cars unrelated in that incident, but both of them ending up looking the wrong way down the track.
These things are so fast, so rapid, and the figures that these teams are quoting now, whether they're accurate or not, you get all those games being played up and down pit lane, but sort of well in excess of 700 horsepower now, upwards of 800. They're using all sorts of NASCAR technology to get these high revs and high horsepower out of these big 6-litre Chevs that power these Kerrick Sports Sedans. These two cars have been the class of the field all season long, and Sarah has been a revelation on board with Hossack.
Using a lot of road on the inside there. Again, very, very close to Sarah under brakes down into Dandenong Road, the left-hander. Almost tucked right up underneath the huge wing of the Saab in front of him.
And these cars produce massive downforce as well, so not only have they got huge horsepower, but huge amounts of grip, big fat tyres as well. And in the last 12 months, we've seen these teams move over to the same tyres that GT Championship cars use, so a sticky Michelin tyre, which gives them massive amounts of grip. It's on for the lead. Hossack looking left, looking right. Down at turn 1. Not this time. James Sarah just drives the thing right down the middle of the road and holds his position.
Brilliant pressure being applied here. I mean, that's what you've got to do. You've got to force James to be constantly watching his mirrors, and then he's a little less focused on the road in front of him. It affects his lap times ever so slightly, and hopefully Hossack has an opportunity. Well, he's hoping he's going to have an opportunity to make a move. Let's have a listen as he climbs the back straight.
About the only thing quicker than this car in a straight line is the Starship Enterprise. It is a rapid race car, and Darren Hossack's done an awesome job. A year played with some reliability dramas and some really cruel luck, like an engine failure at Morgan Park before race 1 that really cost them the championship right there and then. but it's been a huge battle inside Sarah, and there's a change for the lead.
And that was a really clean move. Hossack just lined him up. He didn't make it obvious that he was looking down the inside, just kept a car width to the inside of Sarah's car there, and deep under brakes. Just went slightly later, pulled it up beautifully for the chicane.
Actually, I think this Audi again to 100 quicker than the Enterprise. It is such a fast car, and it shakes the foundations of anything it drives past. Standing in the grandstand and watching this car go down the back straight in qualifying all on its own, hammering out incredible lap times. It's one of the great sights in Australian motorsport. In qualifying, Darren did a 108.3, which is within sight. It's actually underneath the lap record. You can't set a lap record in qualifying, but it's underneath the outright lap record at this racetrack. So that is how fast this car is going. That is how hot the pace is at the front of the Kerrick Sports Sedan Series this year.
Yeah, apart from the badge on the front of these cars, they're a lot less road car and a lot more race car. You can see how low the drivers are sitting inside, how far back they're sitting inside the car as well.
We'll pick up the end of this race when we come back from a short break. It's on. Hossack leads Sarah in the sports sedans from Sandown. We're back, and there's a battle on too. It's Ford versus Holden, but not the one we're used to. Phil Crompton on the comeback trail in the Mustang, wrapping up the Commodore. A couple of other Holdens and a damaged RX-7 in there as well. This is the finale of the Kerrick Sports Sedan National Series. It's from Sandown Raceway, and it's the last round of the Shannons Nationals Motor Racing Championships for 2010. Don't forget thenationals.com.au for all of the information about 2011. You can catch the new schedule and find out where we'll be racing and what should be another exciting season. Richard Crowell and Ian Dyke with you as we conclude what's been an amazing year of racing. A great battle out in front, and Ian, a great battle through the field too in the Kerrick Sports Sedans.
Brilliant mix of cars here. Obviously, so many different badges, so many different cars, and we can see, I think it's that RX-7 you mentioned, with a very, very damaged looking front bar, and depending on the aero efficiency of that car, you know, that may contribute towards his overall lap time and his overall speed. Certainly looks a bit hazardous.
There's Ian Rice in the number 88 Commodore that we saw in the thick of that action. Here's Dean Cam, and he's chasing down Robinson, who had fuel pressure problems in the earlier motor race, but a good comeback to get that Monaro back out on the racetrack for the third and final race and the last one of the year. Here's our leader, Hossack. He leads James Sarah, and you'll see the margin. There it is, first to second, but Sarah in an ideal position to wrap up the championship. We'll go back on board and ride a little bit with Darren Hossack. Great sounding car, great sounding car. Side-by-side battle, Graham Smith in the Rover, and Luke Chambers in the little RX-7, pass for position down at 1. Good move.
Very well executed up the inside, no dramas, out-braked him, and no defence required on the exit of that corner. Used all of the road heading towards that next chicane. The executive heating and cooling car of Victorian Luke Chambers, the Mazda RX-7, and quite a few rounds this year, and that car very competitive. And Smith in the Rover, an outstanding competitor, and that car's done the full season. It's been reliable, it's been pretty quick, always hovering around the top 4 or 5 positions in the Kerrick Sports Sedans. Here's a battle that continues to age. Two of the GM products, Dean Cam, good run out the final corner. Robertson gives him the squeeze through the left-hander onto the long start-finish straight. That Monaro's got the advantage in a straight line. Cam did have a difficult run off the final corner, though, coming from the inside, a tighter line. He's got a huge amount of power underfoot, and we could see him getting a bit of wheel spin, so not a great start to the straight, and ultimately the Commodore beat him to the other end.
So Robinson working his way forward, the Bell Real Estate car. Dean Cam, this has been his best weekend of the year, the 5-star Fencing's Corvette. One of the Trans Am cars, very similar to that of Des Wall. Good run out of turn 4. Tucks up into the toe of the Monaro as they go up to the hill. So this is a battle for the minor positions here at Sandown Raceway in the Kerrick Sports Sedans. And we've got to send a massive shout out to Kerrick Industrial Equipment. They have been huge supporters of this series for many a year and continue their support well into 2011. And a lot of activation around sports sedans, very passionate supporters. They're their workmates come to all the rounds and really back it. This battle continues. This is why they love it. Good, close, hard racing, and Dean Cam gets that position. Finally, it took him a lap, but he got there, and Robertson relegated back one.
Set the move up very early, all the way down in Dandenong Road. Started from a wide entry point. Talbot has a spin.
A Tyre Power Pakenham car. You can pick the Victorian signage on the side there. He has had an off. He's had an up and down weekend, hasn't he? With the bonnet dramas in race 2, got that secured.
Wall with a little bit of debris. We look at Talbot's incident here. Too wide on the exit. A little bit of wheel spin over an unsettling curb, and it sends him across the track. Fortunately, manages to get on the brakes nice and early and pull it up before the Armco helps him out.
Yeah, it's about $1,000 a metre or something, that Armco, so pretty lucky not to crash into it. Last lap of the season in the Kerrick Sports Sedans, and Darren Hossack is going to clean sweep the weekend. He's not going to win the championship, and that might be a surprise, but what a remarkable season it's been for James Serra. He did not take part in round 1 at Wakefield Park, and back then we thought it would be an Audi domination. Well, this round has been, but James Serra has done enough to wrap up the championship. Well done to Hossack, though. He's given the lap record a nudge as well. 3 from 3 for the Audi to cap off a very high-performing season, but the new champion in his first year of car racing, James Serra, wins the Kerrick Sports Sedan National Series.
The crew hanging over the fence there. Big round of applause.
Here are the results. First and second we know. Des Wall pretty quiet and consistent in third. Cam was fourth. Robertson, Banks, Crompton and Ian Rice in the Commodore completed your top 8. Celebrations from the Kerrick Saab team in pit lane for our new champion, James Serra of Kerrick Sports Sedans. These are the points after a 5-round national series. Serra, Hossack pretty close in the end. Bailey did not complete this round, but still holds on to third ahead of Phil Crompton.
James Serra, what a result. A lot of pressure on during the day, but you weathered it in the end.
Yeah, look, we went out there today to win the race. Obviously, we didn't have the pace that Darren had. He was just far too good around here. But look, I got in front of him there in the final race there, and I thought I'd hold him out, but he was just too quick, and it just wasn't worth the risk. So I let him through and just kind of coasted home. So, yeah.
This Kerrick Saab's pretty special.
It's a very special Saab. I can't believe I'm actually here, to be honest with you. I've never, even in my wildest dreams, where I thought I'd be here today, winning the championship. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe it, but it's happened. So it's a credit to the team. I had the easy job all year. This car just ran like clockwork, and not one never broke down once. So, and that's the key to winning a championship too, I suppose. So yeah.
Dean Randall, he's exactly right, but the bloke that's standing next to him started the season in the car. It was a little bit more difficult back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, this guy's won it in 4 rounds. Can you believe it? Didn't need 5, I didn't need 4 to win it. You know, I mean, we had a bit of luck along the way, but look, the car, you know, we didn't miss one race. We didn't DNF once. You know, the cars ran faultless, but that's only as a result of my team. I mean, the countless hours we put into it, the preparation we do. And as a result, you know, we end up with a championship win. It's great.
You've had the emotion of standing where James is, but how does it feel standing where you are as the team owner?
Oh, just relief, really. I mean, it's been a huge year, so it's just great that we've won. I feel so happy for James. You know, I've watched James as a karter last few years, and when he won the Nationals this year, I thought, look, he's got the ability to win, so stuck him in the car, and look what he's done. He's repaid my faith in him. It's brilliant.